Welcome to the Punter on Sports Tonight. I'm Gordon Watson, and tonight I'm joined with Chris Graham, the mad Scotsman over there with all your latest odds, and from Ladbrokes, David Williams himself. David, how are you?
Very well indeed, thanks. Great to be here.
Yeah, and Robin Van Persie goes to Man United. Surely the prices for Man United must have contracted.
Worst kept secret in football, I think. Punters latched onto this. I think it was the week before last, really. I mean, City were in pole position for him, then United came, and yeah, you're dead right now. This time yesterday, 5-2 Man United, which I think was by and large the top price around. In now to 2-1, still trailing Manchester City. But I must say, Gordon, the last time I remember a price shortening like this, without a ball being kicked to, in between matches, was when Wayne Rooney reaffirmed himself to Man United. You remember about 18 months ago, and there was all that talk about sort of lacking ambition. This is a big marquee signing. When Rooney did that, United's price came in. This signing, Robin Van Persie, has had that impact on. And there are very few players in European football who could have that kind of an impact on a market.
Well, let's have a look at the impact on the market. Over to you, Chrissy Graham. Where did Man United trade?
Yeah, they've came in. I mean, 13-5 was the best price you could have got 48 hours ago, but that's gone now, guys. That's gone now. And here's the Ladbrokes odds, 2-1 at the moment, Manchester United, and 9-4 is pretty much the general price you have to say. That 13-5, that's long gone. Man City's price is affected a wee bit as well. It's been pushed out to 13-10 in various places. 5-4 here with Ladbrokes, and Arsenal, their price affected as well. There was just one 14-1 quote 48 hours ago. There's now 4 or 5, 14-1 for Arsenal kicking about. So 3 clubs' prices have changed as finally the Van Persie signing is happening. That's been a great story, the Van Persie betting. Manchester United were as big as 11-2 to nab him 4 weeks ago. 11-2. Imagine you bet that, guys.
It's unbelievable that you look at basically Man City, Man United, last season only split by goal difference. And yet one's 5-4, one was as big as 11-4. So was all the money prior to this all Man City, and now your book's starting to even up?
Well, look, I mean, everything's got a price. It has evened up. We think, as far as our book is concerned, this is a good signing to get a little bit of balance back into the market. I think when that season finished, and I think we'll all remember where we were in the middle of May on that Sunday when the winner went in the 93rd minute, the feeling at that stage was that, OK, Fergie's the great recoverer, but City would then go on from there and pull away. And as a bookmaker, the one thing that you never want are lopsided markets. You want some kind of volume and trading ability within the market. The signing of Van Persie has done that. Had he gone to the Etihad, I think City could have gone a shade of odds on before.
And would you have pushed Man United out, maybe to 3-1?
Oh, you'd have had to have done. I think it probably would have been evens 3-1.
Oh.
And when you have that before a ball has even been kicked, you're getting off on a bit of a funny start. So, look, this is going to put some pep and ginger back into the market. That's precisely what we want.
And do you actually only see it as being maybe a 2-horse race? Or do you have a personal opinion that one of the other 4 might come in?
Well, it's interesting. We've barely laid a copper coin for Chelsea. Arsenal have obviously lost their big player. Forget about what signings they've made. We might have a chat about them, but they will not replace Robin Van Persie in this season, I don't think. There's been a bit of money for Liverpool. They've been backed in the past couple of days. But it is very difficult to see it not going or staying in Manchester, the Premier League title. Chelsea, they finished the season extraordinarily well. You just wonder whether Roberto Di Matteo can sustain that going to the next season. The punters don't seem to think so. It is one-way traffic, and it's one-way traffic in Lancashire. OK, well, Robin Van Persie's obviously helped shorten Manchester United's odds for the Premiership title in 2012-2013. But what about the goal-scoring odds? Chrissy Graham, RVP, is he at the top?
He is now. He's got number 1 of the charts after that move yesterday. But a lot of people you speak to, football experts, say his chances of winning this have decreased since his move. So what position do you take it there? That's interesting. 6-1 on 6-1 favourite for Van Persie. An avalanche of money for him a couple of days ago at Ladbrokes. That into 6-1. Wayne Rooney, their third favourite, 8-1. If you combine Van Persie's odds, Van Persie's goals last season with Rooney's goals last season, that's more than 15 of the 20 clubs in the Premier League as a whole. Extraordinary statistic, that one. And you got Torres here. What kind of season will he have at 10-1, and Balotelli at 12-1. Van Persie though 10-1 and 6-1 with Ladbrokes. He's a general favourite now to be crowned top goal scorer, guys.
Cheers, Chris. I'm just thinking to myself, looking at that caption there, and I see Carlos Tevez at 16-1. That is unbelievable value. If he stays in the country and doesn't do a run, well, that's the other one there.
Playing golf in the Pampas. that is the risk that you take with Carlos Tevez. It's exactly the same with Balotelli. You know these guys are enormously talented. You know that they can score goals for fun, but you don't know what's going to happen on a rainy day in Monday night in Munich or something in the Champions League. Great, just listening to that, that subject of Rooney and Van Persie, we've actually got to mark it on those two guys combining and see where they would go. So it's 5 to 6 each of two over 42.5 goals. So people are going to be doing their sums and exactly the same, 5 to 6 less than 42.5. So you're going to be
league goals?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Purely Premier League goals.
Okay.
So you're working out how many is Rooney going to bag, how often is Van Persie going to start with him, will it come to 42.5, higher or lower? Take your pick. That's where we think the market is.
So if I could just fast forward to May, I'm looking at Rooney on 25.
Yeah.
I'm looking Van Persie on 17.
Yeah.
And right bang in the middle.
I think I'll tell you what, if that's the case, come the end of the season, I think our traders will be pretty happy because there's always a tipping point, and that's where we've got it. And the interesting point, fascinating to study the market and Van Persie shortening up at the top of that golden boot market, 19.5 goals. That's the tipping point for Van Persie. He got 30 last season, so you can get 10 to 11 about him getting 20 or more goals this season, and that will be popular. But it's always popular when the tabloids are in.
But he's got to stay fit, David.
Yep.
Chrissy, what have you got for me on the goal-scoring specials for Robin Van Persie?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Flash. It's fitness here. I was taking a look at the previous seasons, and injuries ruined, I think, 6 of his 8 seasons in England. The last 2 have been uninterrupted, and that's when he scored his goals. 18.5 is the line here. Will he score 19 or more goals? Will he score 18 or less goals? That's the question. 5 to 6 each of 2, and that's what people are talking about. There we go, 18.5 each. He's only done it under. I should say under over, of course, rather than under. He's only done that twice since he joined Arsenal in 2004. So if you go back to his early Arsenal career, he won't do it, or his recent form, he will do it. So what side of the fence do you take, guys?
What about the boy that's going to be replacing RVP, and that's Oliver Giroud, obviously top scorer in France last year. 18 goals for him in an Arsenal side that create, surely he's value.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, this guy's had a great couple of years at Montpellier, but before that, he was a very average player. He was playing in the second division for a team called Tours. So he's never really had. He's a bit of a late developer, guys here, and I wouldn't be lumping on here over 10.5. Loads of goal scoring options for Arsenal at the moment because Orlo Podolski coming in. It may be that they spread the goals around a wee bit now that Van Persie's gone. So I'd be inclined to go under 10.5 here at 5 to 6.
Chris, I'm not obviously going to be disrespectful to you, but apart from headed goals, I fancy you would get 11 goals minimum in that Arsenal side. They create from everywhere, and the big thing about RVP not being in there is that they've got options. They can attack from all sorts of range. So I think over. What about yourself, David?
Well, my only concern, and sort of Chris touched on it with Giroud, is he does take a lot of time to get going. And actually, you look at some of the marquee signings that Wenger has brought in, they often haven't blistered in the first season. Absolutely, they've taken a bit. You can go all the way back to Thierry Henry, and they didn't know whether he should have been playing on the left wing or up front. A bit of time to bed in, settle in. So I can understand the reticence about wading into the over 10.5 goals, but I like the enthusiasm. It's good fun. You can tell the season started.
Oh, yeah, well, exactly. We've been starved of it. We had no goals in European Championships supporting England, and then all of a sudden we've got so many top-class strikers. I mean, the list goes right down. I think Giroud's like 33 to 1 to be the Premiership top scorer, and he was the top scorer in France last year, going into a side that just creates for fun.
Arsene Wenger has been written off so many times, but his ability to reinvent teams, Fergie gets all the plaudits for doing it. He's had, 3-4 top quality Manchester United teams. But Wenger might just see this. He doesn't mind shipping out these star names, and you just think maybe if he can get him playing his football in the first season, maybe it's not all doom and gloom at the Emirates.
Staying at the Emirates, Chrissy, Arsenal specials, what are they like?
Yeah, can they win some trophies this season? Who knows? Top London club here, 15 to 8. Chelsea dominated that in the last few years, but Arsenal won it last year, of course, by finishing third in the table. Over the Capital One Cup, they'll never forget that heartbreaking day when they lost to Birmingham in the final a couple of seasons ago, 8-1. That's probably the one that I like the most there. The FA Cup, 8-1. They dominated that at the start of the century, of course, and then Champions League, the Holy Grail, if you like. Very unlikely, you'd have to say, 25 to 1, guys. And can it go disastrously wrong? A terrible start to the season last year, of course, when they got destroyed at Old Trafford, 8-2. 750 to 1 that Arsenal go down. It was as short as 100 last year after that 8-2 defeat. You never know. Well, unlikely.
Chrissy, top London club, 15 to 8. That's nearly 2 to 1.
Huge.
I cannot see.
It's huge.
That's massive. I would have thought they were going to be even money to confound that their superiority over both Chelsea, who against the big sides last year, Di Matteo, he did better on the road, obviously Bayern Munich and Barcelona when he bored them. Will not get away with that this year in the Premiership. So I see 15 to 8 as very generous.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you there because I think Chelsea, at the prices, and they're third in at the moment in the overall title betting, as a bookmaker, you have to be happy to lay Chelsea at the moment. Listen to some of those prices, 25 to 1 for the Champions League. Look, when Andre Villas-Boas was at his very worst at Chelsea, they were out to 25 to 1 to win the Champions League. They went and did it. So these things are possible. I also remember doing a press release, I think it was last October or November, Arsenal shorter to go down than to win the league title. So they're very topsy-turvy. We know that's exactly what autumn's like, but I'd be a big layer of Chelsea and a backer of Arsenal, just like you, in that top London club. And Spurs, I think they just may be the busted flush of the overrated clubs in that top 6.
Yeah, I certainly like Arsenal at 15 to 8 there. I just cannot see Chelsea for love nor money. OK, well, let's have a little look at the some other Arsenal specials. And Chrissy, I think you're going to talk to me about...
top 4.
Top 4?
Top 4 flash. Who's going to finish in the top 4? The 4 sacred places of the Champions League. Will it be Arsenal? Of course, they've I think it's 17 years in a row they've made the top 4. 8 to 13 here to get that job done again. What about Chelsea 1 to 5? That's plenty short, isn't it? No much faith in Di Matteo at the moment. The Manchester clubs are an absolute stick on. Then Spurs 19 to 10. So many different opinions about Spurs and Villas-Boas. How will he get on? Will it be a disaster? Will it be great? What's happened to Modric? So many questions left unanswered. And then Newcastle. I've looked at Newcastle today. They're in such great nick at the moment. They really are, and they came very close last year, of course. And 7 to 1 there. It's a bit nasty on David, but they're as big as 18 to 1 elsewhere. But Newcastle definitely, for me, a squeak in this market, guys.
I look at that market and I think to myself, first of all, you'd want to be a layer of the 1 to 5 Chelsea. You've got to be trying to get them all day long. But Liverpool at 19 to 10. I've actually tipped them to come fourth, but I'm not too sure about the Carroll factor.
I'll tell you, I can't stand that price, 90 to 10. As of now, we're going to go 2 to 1, both Liverpool and Spurs. It's a nonsense.
Officially 2 to 1 now.
It's a nonsense. I hope my traders are watching. I don't know what else they'd be watching, but they better go 2 to 1 at once, otherwise I'm not coming into work tomorrow. They'd be happy with that. Absolutely right. The thing is, when you get these short prices, there is always value elsewhere, and I'd agree with that. Spurs and Liverpool, both at 2 to 1. For me, it would be Liverpool over Spurs. I think Brendan Rodgers is going to have that feel-good factor going in. There's something not right at White Hart Lane at the moment. All the sort of messing around in the summer with the manager, and I just can't get over the
Harry factor as well.
Yeah.
He's very much
so
underrated.
So many players playing over and above their bare potential, and always manages with his teams for it to add up to more than the sum of its parts. Now, I think, take the parts apart, say that after a few drinks at Spurs, and it doesn't add up to very much. So I'd be a layer of them, I'd be a layer of Chelsea. That bet for Arsenal to be the top London, I'm surprised we haven't paid out early on this. It's
exactly.
Weighed in as far as we're concerned.
Exactly, 15 to 8 for Arsenal to be the top London club, but 8 to 13 for Arsenal to be in the top 4. Again, I see that as massive value.
It's buying money, isn't it? I mean, and sometimes there comes a point when you should always buy money. Although, as JP McManus would say, if you've got the 13, why do you need the 8?
Well, to make 21.
That's his answer.
OK, so we've gone through the Oliver Giroud, we've gone through Robin Van Persie, top London club, Arsenal. God, I cannot believe it's 15 to 8.
Yeah, it's great, and I think all the bookmakers are doing this. We get into a bit of a frenzy when it comes to offering specials, and along the way, and it's great for the viewer, it's great for the punter. These football traders haven't had a summer holiday because they've been doing the Olympics. They're knackered, they're tired, they're running on fumes. There is value there to be sniffed out. I think we've identified some there.
We are. When you come back after the break, we'll have a look. It's 48 hours before the Premier League starts, and also we'll have a little look back at England's youngsters last night. We'll see you in 2. Welcome back to the Punter on Sports Tonight. I'm Flash Gordon Watson, and today I'm with Chris Graham, obviously in his mad little booth, and Ladbrokes top man David Williams. Now, David, we think we've already picked out a good few. Now we look at some of the fixtures for the weekend, and we might as well stay at the Emirates. It's been all Robin Van Persie, all Arsenal. Now Arsenal take on Sunderland at the Emirates with maybe a definite new look strike force.
Yeah, and I think there'll be, despite what's happened with the Robin Van Persie news, there will still be a lot of enthusiasm, I think, on the opening day of the season at the Emirates. And Sunderland, notoriously bad travellers, particularly early on in the season. You know, we saw it under Steve Bruce. They take a long time to get going. Now, whether that will change in this close season remains to be seen, but it's very difficult to see past Arsenal at the Emirates. 2-5, Sunderland 7-1. They always sound big prices. That's because they should be big prices. Be very difficult, even without Van Persie, to see anything past a home win.
Chrissy, show us what you got at the Emirates, please, mate.
Oh, it's great to have it back, isn't it? Just absolutely great to see these odds back in our life again. We missed you so much since May. You're here now. 4-11 in Arsenal to get off to winning start. They've drew their opening 2 games of the last 2 seasons. Bear that in mind. And Sunderland here at 7-1. I like Sunderland this season. I think they'll finish in the top 10. They could even finish in the top 8, top 6. They've got Saga in today. I think it could be a great season for Martin O'Neill's guys. If I was having a bet on this, it'd have to be Sunderland. 4-11, just too short for me for Arsenal. They're without doubt more likely to win, but like I say, two draws in their opening 2 fixtures in the last 2 seasons. So for me, it's a dodge here. Back to you guys.
I just don't understand, Chris, how you can even look at Sunderland when they have not got the quality to even maybe match up with a Wigan this year. So for them to finish in the top 8, top 10, they're probably going to need 5 or 6 new signings.
Yeah, you're right. I'm expecting more names to come in, and it's, you know, We've got a great manager, Flash, an outstanding manager. O'Neill is capable of getting a team 7, 8 places higher than they should be.
Yeah, and obviously I will give you that Louis Saha did sign today, but Louis Saha was probably one of the 3rd or 4th strikers to be named, linked with Sunderland, and yet he was the final one that actually did sign. I'm not really a Sunderland fan, are you?
He's mad. He is absolutely
I told you, mad
isn't
Scotsman.
he?
That's what he is.
Unbelievable.
And obviously he's been
now.
on the sauce all night after they won their one game in the last decade against the Kangaroos last night.
And a few quick sips in the advert break as well, it seems.
They got Bunting up in Scotland. They're in for winning the game against the Aussies.
I take the points about Martin O'Neill again. A bit like Harry Redknapp did, manage to get more of a tune out of the players than the raw talent deserve. If you're pinning your hopes on Louis Saha, who was a pretty good striker 4 or 5 years ago, as being a reason to lump into a team at Emirates managed by Arsene Wenger, I think it's time to call in the men in the white coats.
Especially when Wenger will be looking for Arsenal to get off to a fast start because they're notoriously slow. They've took over the Man United mantle of, after Christmas, they hardly lose a game.
And I just think also that this Robin Van Persie news is going to really galvanise them. He doesn't really need to give a team talk before that news because he'll just put up all of the headlines that will be knocking around tomorrow and on Saturday saying, you know, Arsenal, the wheels have fallen off, what's Wenger doing? That is the team talk. Ready-made for his Arsenal side. It's going to be a packed house. They are going to be cheering them on because they've not dropped any points yet. I'd be more than happy to get stuck in at the odds on.
OK, so there's Arsenal. 4-11. Is it a bit of you? If not, let's have a look at, we'll go to the Hawthorns. West Bromwich Albion against Liverpool. Steve Clarke, defensive coach, assistant manager, whatever you want to call him, last year at Liverpool. They couldn't score at home. Now they take on Liverpool. So, Chrissy, what you got for me?
Yeah, you're slagging me off for tipping Sunderland. You've tipped up Ipswich in the Championship. Pathetic tip. I'll be laughing at you come May, that's for sure, Flash. Anyway, West Brom against Liverpool. Liverpool a touch of odds on here at 19-20. That's quite a tasty price, I can imagine. They won at the Hawthorns last year, of course. West Brom 11-4. I think a team in big trouble this year for reasons I've stipulated many, many times. We won't go through it again, but 4-1 to get relegated is a very good shout. Liverpool, under this new era under Brendan Rodgers, I think it's a good shout at 19-20, guys.
19-20, we don't do 19-20, we don't do 20-19.
Evens, go on, we'll give you evens.
See, there you go again. You tune into us, we just get the market moved. That's quality. I mean, I cannot see West Brom. I don't like West Brom this season. I've had quite a bit of stick on Twitter saying they're this, they're that. I think they're too reliant on Wingy, and they've got a very, very defensive-minded manager.
They remind me actually of Bolton last year under Owen Coyle. They've sort of established themselves. They've stopped being a yo-yo club. They've been up for a few seasons now, and I'm a Bolton fan, so I'm still smarting about what happened in May.
But obviously excited about this season coming up.
Yeah, very much so. We've got to just get our act together. I'm glad we've kept hold of Owen Coyle, but at the start of last season, and I just fear Steve Clarke's going to do exactly the same, he was playing not to concede goals at home, which is a very peculiar mindset. And I think that's exactly the same with West Brom. There comes a point where teams have maybe had 3, 4, 5 years in the top flight who then suddenly just changed the way they play, and they don't have that versatility. We didn't have it to get out of trouble. I think West Brom might be the same without that sort of, you know, with due respect to the new manager, that kind of technical nous and experience that Roy Hodgson had there last year. So I'd be equally worried.
Yeah, and the only thing that does save me about maybe West Brom getting a point is that Liverpool are not a team to be trusted. I'd like to see Liverpool 6 to 8 games into the season, away from home. Could be a draw, this one, but I certainly wouldn't want to be with West Brom. Next game we're going to look at is probably the tie of the weekend. It's Newcastle-Tottenham.
Wow, it's a gorgeous game, 5:30 on Saturday night. I'll be watching this, that's for sure. Very tight in the betting heat, guys, a very tight betting heat. Newcastle 8 to 5, Spurs 17 to 10, and the draw is 23 to 10. For me, it's about positivity against negativity here. Newcastle feeling great at the moment. They brought another new player in today, Vernon Anita. On top of Emil Fatino, they've kept Cisse, they've kept Ba. They're looking great. There's great feel-good feeling in the northeast at the moment, and I think they're going to have a great season. Spurs, all about Modric. What's happening? We don't know. A lot of uncertainty. For that reason, it's all about positivity. Newcastle 8 to 5 for me.
I've got to agree with you, Madman. I've got to agree with you. I think to myself, where are Tottenham's goals going to come? They've got Jermaine Defoe up there. Are they going to play a holding, someone in the gap? Sigurdsson? Are they going to play Van der Vaart? They're both the same. I mean, they are a mishmash at the moment.
They are, and I think with regard to Newcastle, they, of course, when the new fella came in, Pardew, he got them winning games, and everyone was expecting the bubble to burst and thinking, you know, they're overperforming. They're up there, they're 5th, they're 6th, they're 4th, they're 5th. They're going to drop down. They didn't really do that. And I don't subscribe to this argument that Newcastle will be found out this season because they only have one way of playing. I think that's unfair, and I think it's disrespectful to their players. Again, St James's Park, or whatever we've got to call it nowadays, I think that'll be an
absolute... Has it not changed its name again yet?
Probably has. When we came on air, it probably had a different name by the time we get off air. But again, it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere there on Saturday tea time. It is boring to keep siding with the favourites, but matches like that, almost identical odds, 8 to 5, 17 to 10, great news for punters who are prepared to take a strong view.
Yeah, and I think Newcastle at home, 52,000 they'll be there. And I just think that Tottenham might just be like the old rabbit in the headlights. I don't see any urgency in the manager. I don't see any urgency in the team. And they haven't got Adebayor and they haven't got Modric.
And could you make an argument for Newcastle finishing above Spurs in the league this season, or is that a bit too far-fetched?
Yeah, I'd like to, obviously, ask me again in October, November, when you've seen the squads actually settled. No one's going to come in, no one's going to go out, and you can see the pattern of play. I think Tottenham were too reliant last year on Modric, on Bale, on Adebayor. 2 of them, 3
and on Harry Redknapp.
And so 3 of them 4 are not going to be there. But the one little fella you've got to mention when you talk about Tottenham, and it was criminal that he didn't go to European champs or didn't get a bigger role in European champs, was Jermaine Defoe. Last night he came on and he does what he does. He scores goals week in, week out.
Look, he's a star, and you know, he's proved it time and time again, and he has actually been around on the circuit for a long time. Remember, a couple of years ago in the World Cup, he was the guy who scored the vital goals to get us out of the groups and into the knockout stages, and I think he showed his class yesterday evening. It was great to see him. I think he's a popular guy who's been through some tough times lately, and I think he's widely liked and deserved his goal, and let's hope he has a good season for Spurs and for England.
Well, I mean, Chrissy, obviously I don't want you to get too jealous here because obviously we're talking about qualifying group. Yours is just group. All right. So what are the England odds for qualifying for the 2014 World Cup?
England got an easy group. Shock horror. This happens every single time. It's happened again. What are they bribing UEFA to get these easy groups? It's another simple, easy peasy group for England. 49 favourites here against the Ukraine that they beat in Euro 2012, of course. Poland, who England always draw and they always beat 11-2. Then you got Montenegro, who England struggled against last time out at 10-1, and then the Rags of Moldova and San Marino. 49 guys for England to qualify from another very, very easy group.
The big thing is, Chrissy, if I looked at that and I thought that you was in with Moldova and San Marino, you'd probably be third favourites.
We'd win that group.
No, you wouldn't.
We'd
you couldn't
win.
Honestly, you couldn't win an argument.
Pathetic.
Honestly, we look at that and I look and I say 4-9. Surely it should be more like 1-3.
Yeah, I think it probably should, but don't give us an excuse not to offer value.
But you are
we'll
the boss.
take it.
You are the top price.
Yeah, well, I think that's because you can afford to get a few quid in the book at this stage, and also you want England to be qualifying for these major tournaments. What you actually want as a bookmaker is England to get a lot further than they do, get through to the final, get through to penalties, get all that betting in play money in the locker, and then lose on penalties in the final of a major tournament. 66 to 1 for that to happen, by the way. But yeah, you're right. 4 to 9. It looks pretty generous.
Oh no, it is generous.
He loved it, didn't he? Though, saying that we struggled against Montenegro last time.
I know, but that comes from a man who has not got a clue. And I mean, you look at our first game, and we've got Moldova away on September the 7th. Chris, you got anything for me there?
Ooh, tricky fixture, isn't it? Woo! 9 to 1 Moldova at home there. England 3 to 10. I'll tell you a wee story, guys. Moldova got a great draw last night, a hard-fought draw against Albania. That's the level of opposition. Take the odds away.
Well, I mean, you look at it and you think to yourself, England 100 to 30, 1 win on the board straight away. And would that then move the 4 to 9, or has that already been factored in?
It's largely been factored in. I'll tell you what, if I ever see 31 to 10 on a prize coming out of Ladbrokes ever again, I'm going to give the game up. So maybe that's why they're doing it.
Why is it just fashionable? Because, I mean, we've been in game sort of 25 years, and some of these we've never seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see, and racing has resisted from doing it, but I think football prices, and because of the Asian handicaps and the Asian markets, it is all about trying to get a 1 percentage point here and a 1 percentage point there, or even less than that when it comes to trying to find the margin. So if you want to go best price and everyone's 3 to 1, you go 31 to 10. Not for me, and I'm going to sort of do a one-man stand against these kind of newfangled prices that are creeping in. But I promise you'll never see it again.
Will you see a lot of business at 4 to 9?
I think you probably would, yeah. I think the problem is with England football fans is how often do you have to get your fingers burnt before you learn your lesson?
But saying that, they always, near enough, always qualify for the major tournaments, and they do it impressively.
Yeah, although Steve McLaren, of course.
Yeah, but again, let's forget about the Brolly.
Absolutely. Yes, they do, and I think 4 to 9 is extremely generous. And if people are looking, you say, why bet the 9 to win the 4? Well, to get the 13, there are fewer, easier ways of doing that. But then again, you're going to be waiting a long time to collect on a 4 to 9 chance. I think a lot of punters don't really like investing that kind of money, waiting that long for a relatively small return.
Yeah, exactly. And yet, you say that, but it's 2 years away. And if you put your money in an ISA, or you put your money in an investment, it's 3 or 4 years, and yet none of them will give you 43% your money.
Yeah, but ISIS don't have Ashley Young and Ashley Cole taking penalties and playing for them.
But there'll be no penalties in the qualifier. But again,
if
we're going to go to penalties...
Banks, that's what we'll do.
Exactly. I'll go over to Chris Graham because I want to know what price England are to actually win in Brazil 2014.
Any price you want, mate, with me. Any price. It ain't going to happen under any circumstances. Because quite simply, the stat you've got to remember here is no European team has ever won a World Cup in South America, and certainly not a team like England who need their best ever representation to do anything here, I would say. Brazil, 72, way up at the top here, 72 favourites, that's a good shout. Spain, 5 to 1, I've got to bust that start, I can't see it happening. Argentina appeal at 11 to 2. England, 16 to 1, holy moly, no thank you. Uruguay, 22 to 1, behind England in the bet, the Copa America champions, did reasonably well in the Olympics. Absolutely great side. Uruguay, for me, the value here in South America.
Well, I'll tell you a bit more value for you, Mad Scotsman, and that's that Scotland are 2,000 to 1. 2,000
We'll get there.
1.
We'll get there.
I hope you do, because I'll tell you what, no tournament is the same without you. But I'd also like to say Ladbrokes are our best price right across the board there with Germany at 8 to 1. Now, the Germans are, you're putting your head on the block there, because Germany have got a very, very good young squad.
Yeah, and I think they will have left the Euros in the summer feeling pretty upset that they didn't, go a little bit further. It was there for the taking when Spain were flattering to deceive, and they were joint favourites for a long time going into the latter stages of that tournament. Again, I think it is that South American fact that there comes a point with every bookmaker where you have to be prepared to lay the different teams. So I dare say we'll take a few quid out of Germany, particularly if they have anything like the qualifying campaign that they had going into the Euros. They play 10 and won 10, and they'll be a whole lot shorter than that.
And the big thing is, as we said, I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit more after the break, but European sides don't win down there, so you're going to get your money from Spain, your money from England, your money from Germany. No wonder they call it the magic sign. 2 minutes, we'll have a break, and then come back, it'll be the championship. That's even harder than the World Cup. Welcome back to the Punter on Sports Tonight. I'm Flash Gordon-Watson and I'm joined by Chrissy Graham and Ladbrokes' very own David Williams. We've spoken about Robin Van Persie and what the effect it's going to have on the league and obviously Arsenal, and then England going to Brazil. But now the hardest job anyone's got this year is try and pick the winner of the championship. We're going to talk about it in a second. Chrissy, just give me this minefield.
Oh, we've talked about this for so long. I just can't wait for it to start tomorrow night now. But Bolton, now clear favourites, and many lists are at 7-1. Leicester, who were short price favourites last year, failed miserably. They're 8-1. Wolves, who came down at 9-1. And you got Blackburn and Cardiff, a lot of people's tips at 10-1. You're right, Flash, it's an absolute minefield. Take care, punters.
I can't believe that, first of all, Cardiff there at 10-1. They got beat by Northampton the other night from a long throw and a corner. Set pieces. Teams are so hot on set pieces in this league. And if that's a deficiency, they will not be in the top 6 come May. For me, it's Bolton, 2 new signings, Holden and Lee. Didn't play at all last year. Probably 2 of their best players. 7-1, rightful. Leicester, 8-1. Nigel Pearson knows how to get the job done. Nearly got beat in the playoffs at Cardiff 2 years ago when he was manager at Leicester first time round. And Neil Warnock, promoted out of this division with Queen's Park Rangers, Sheffield United, looks to have assembled the same type of team and squad again. Leeds at 12-1. I'd start with Leeds at 12-1.
Yeah, and I think it's massively important. You make the point about Neil Warnock. Use a racing term for managers who've gone course and distance, who have lifted teams out of this notoriously difficult league to get out of.
And it's never been as difficult as it is this year.
No, look, 7-1 the field. It's no wonder I'm a grinning bookmaker at times, because this is actually, apart from last year with sort of West Ham doing it, okay, they went up, they were the favourites for a long time, but this, even by those standards, looks really, really difficult. My only hope would be that this isn't entirely decided by the wallets and by the tax man. You know, point deductions, it's seemingly more and more notorious now that punters aren't out of pocket because teams get docked 10 points or because a team gets some enormous foreign investment coming in from the Middle East. Nottingham Forest have had that kind of a kick. Forest there at 11-1. They were 20-1 this time last month, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I wouldn't have them.
I
I would not have them on my mind, nor would I have Blackburn. But the thing is with Blackburn, you look at them and I think there was about 9-10-1. But the manager goes, all of a sudden, that might just propel them to be dangerous.
You've got, as a punter, you've got to look at your hard-earned cash and think, would I be wanting to wade into a football club that, we won't get ourselves into too much trouble, but is being run and is owned by people who seemingly don't have much of an idea what football is? Yes, they will win their fair share of matches along the way, but I know I'm biased against Bolton.
Is there a rivalry there between Bolton and Blackburn?
There may just be, but I think, what time do we go? Before the watershed, so let's not talk about it. But the properly run football clubs against Blackburn, and you've got to feel sorry for Blackburn fans. I just couldn't be prepared to back them when you don't know, come November or December, when this lot decide, OK, we've had enough of that lark in East Lancashire, let's not bother with it, let's sell it. That club could go in a terrible direction just as readily as it could go straight back up.
First game on Saturday. Obviously, there's a game tomorrow night, which is Cardiff and Huddersfield. For tomorrow, Saturday morning, it's Leeds versus Wolves. Big game for Leeds, massive game for Solbakken. Chrissy, what you got?
12:45 Flash that kicks off live on the box. It should be good. Leeds at 75 here, and Wolves 15-8. For me, it's very like Spurs Newcastle in the Premier League. Positivity. Warnock's in there. Quite a settled side at the moment. They beat Shrewsbury last Saturday in the Capital One Cup against negativity. Wolves, Fletcher and Jarvis, are they staying? Are they leaving? They limped past Aldershot in the Capital One, and penalties, sudden death penalties at that. Things no great at Wolves at the moment, so for that reason, I'd definitely be back in Leeds at 75.
And the big thing is also, Chrissy, you've got to be thinking to yourself, is Jarvis going to play? They can't afford an injury, 10 million quid's worth of asset. Fletcher, Doyle, if they all play, you can have an argument about Wolves. But if they don't, then surely it's a home win.
Has to be, and I think Leeds fans, very loyal fans up there, would deserve it. Wolves are, without putting too fine a point, in disarray at the moment, and when teams are in disarray and they're going on their travels and opening start of the season, and you can get decent odds against, that is irresistible. I think 7-5 will do for me for Leeds.
Yeah, and I mean, some people might want to just double them up with a live special, Leeds at lunchtime, going on Newcastle in the evening. I think there's definitely value there. I know it's not easy. We're going to go to League One now. This is my tip, and this is really weird coming from a Wednesday boy, but I think that Sheffield United are good things this year. They're about 6-1, and they kick off their campaign at home to Shrewsbury.
They do indeed, Flash. 4-7, a bit too short for me, to be honest. They got knocked out of the cap at 1 Cup by Burton on penalties, which was a big shot for Sheffield United, but very popular with punters at the moment. William Hill reported that they were the most backed side last weekend. We'll find out whether people are backing them at 4-7. I'm not too sure. Shrewsbury at 5-1 here, under the wily old Graham Turner. For me, this is a swerve, this one. Sheffield United too short.
Yeah, the big thing with Sheffield United, they've got to get off to a good start. They got off to a great start last year. They scored so many goals, and replacing Ched Evans will be a must.
Yeah, I think so. I'll tell you what, I've worked with a girl in our office called Jess Bridge. She did all my preparation for this, so if I've talked rubbish, blame her. She's a big Sheffield Wednesday fan.
Good girl.
She will not even talk about Sheffield United.
Because she knows.
Never mind tip them up.
No.
So I think what you're trying to do is boost your Twitter followers by embracing the Sheffield United fans as well. I know what you're up to.
No.
In answer to the question, 4-7, no, there's not a great deal of interest. And I think teams that are that short at this stage with a couple of days to go before the season, they may just wait, because I think you're probably going to get a bigger price than 4-7 come kick-off.
There you go. Wait around. Let's go to League Two, where Rotherham, new manager, obviously Steve Evans, up against Burton. Sounds like a home win. Burton went and got the job done in South Yorkshire last week. Can they do it again, Chrissy?
They did. Fair play to Burton, but this is a much better price for me. 8-13 is actually as big as 4-6. It's been pushed out a wee bit after Burton's excellent result midweek. Rotherham got a great result on Saturday. They drew with Hull, knocked out in penalties, but a great effort. But the key in this particular game is this is the first competitive fixture at Rotherham's new New York Stadium. So there's a massive carnival atmosphere at the club on Saturday. A real feel-good feel about the Yorkshire club on Saturday. For that reason, I think they can get the job done here. 8-13, as big as 4-6. Get on!
And I think a lot of people will be putting Rotherham into their accumulators and things like that over the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. And people, when they're filling out their coupons, it's great, isn't it? You go into your shop, you fill out your coupons, and you can't see anything possibly going wrong, and it's all going to land a big jackpot. And I think that's right. You don't often hear sort of carnival atmosphere and Rotherham mentioned in the same sentence, but I think it probably is, on this rare occasion, valid. And it's difficult to see past them. Both teams coming in having hit a little bit of form.
And you have a look. We had a look at the Division 2 relegation odds, and Burton were 4th favourites to get relegated this year.
Yeah, again, it's so difficult to get a real handle on these kind of markets. And as an odds compiler, as a trader, what that means is if you follow your leagues really, really closely, you are going to have an edge on the bookmakers. And you're going to have that edge not just in those outright markets, but if you have 4 favourites for relegation, that is going to somehow be reflected in the match odds, and that is where, over the course of a season, if you're disciplined and you keep your ledgers on the bets, you're not going to go too far wrong.
No, you've got to keep your eye on Barnet, because they're there every single year. Now, the Polish football starts tomorrow, and Chrissy is going to give us a little bit of a lowdown, and then we'll come back and see who we fancy for the title.
Yeah, fantastic coup for the channel. Polish football begins here live tomorrow night. I'm doing the betting, so my pronunciations need to be improved over the next 24 hours, actually. But let's have a go at it. Legia Warsaw 3-1, probably the most famous Polish club. You'd say joint favourites with Lech Poznan. Wisła Krakow there at 7-2. Last year's champions, surprise champions at that, it's Lasker Aukla at 7-1 to make it 2 in a row here. And
Chris, can I just come in there, though?
Yeah,
how often have you ever seen a league odds and you've got 3 or 4 favourites, and yet the winners from last year, which is Zlas Vorklov, they won the league by 1 point. Yeah. They're full favourites.
I actually think that's quite indicative for a lot of European leagues, Flash. We tend, no like England, the same teams dominating year after year. Look at France, there's different champions every year. Montpellier won at 80-1 last year. I would imagine they're no favourites for sure in France this year. So that's quite common in Europe, I think, actually. And then Polonia Warsaw at 18-1. So Legia Warsaw, probably the most famous Polish club, you'd say. 3-1 joint favourites to win the Ekstraklasa.
OK, well, I mean, you have a look at there, and you've got Zlas Vorklov, who won the league last year, and they're like full favourites. Now, tomorrow, we're actually going to be showing the first game, which is going to be Piast Gliwice and Górnik Zabrze. What have you got?
Right. Pieszkowice is 6-4. They won Division 2 last year in Poland, the second tier. This is their first year up in the Ekstraklasa. How will they get on? That's the question. Górnik Zabrze, mid-table side, 10th in the Polish league last season. So definitely, the promoted club will definitely feel they can get a job here, get a job done here, and get the 3 points and get the season off to a flyer in the Ekstraklasa for the first time. 2-1 the draw. It's live tomorrow on Sports Tonight at 7:30, and I'll be back here with better pronunciations. I promise you that.
Well, we'll be looking forward to watching that tomorrow at 7:30 live on Sports Tonight. Just a quick one on the Polish football.
Well, I'll tell you what. Look, it is fantastic news that this is now being broadcast here, and we can watch this because at Ladbrokes, and I think like with many other bookmakers, we're going to be betting in play on all of these top Polish matches. So you can be watching it here on this channel, you can be having a bet on your iPad or on your mobile or something like that, and it's just going to be, you know, all of these leagues. There's a lot of growth in them.
Excellent. OK, well, we're going to have a quick break and we'll have a massive roundup. We've still got to go through the Cincinnati Open, which is obviously in America, and then we'll go through to the US Open, where Djokovic, Nadal, Murray, Federer do battle. See you too. Back to the last part of the Punter on Sports Tonight. Now, I'm Gordon Watson. I'm with David Williams from Ladbrokes, and we've gone through nearly everything. Now we're going to go into a bit of tennis. How much movement do you actually see on the tennis?
Well, look, it's one of those where I think injury news has an enormous bearing on it. Rafael Nadal, of course, picking up an injury. That has totally knocked out.
That's just in the break, by the way, because I said that they'll be doing battle in a few weeks in the US Open, and now he's not even there. So that's up to the minute news.
Unbelievable. He's just tweeted me. But yeah, I mean, him being out of it opens it up. The interesting question is just how much store punters are going to put on what happened at the Olympics. This is an argument that could go one way or the other. Either it's a nonsense event, like the football was, and therefore draw a line through it, and Federer wasn't trying in the final, or Andy Murray is actually getting his game together, because there's a few players who are not playing top quality tennis at the moment. He made the final. We thought he was destroyed by Federer. He banished that ghost in the Olympics. Just maybe his time is coming. OK, well, prior to the US Open, we're in Cincinnati for the Cincinnati Masters. Chrissy, what have you got for me?
Yeah, we're bang in the middle of the hardcourt season at the moment. These are the prices just before we went on air. 13-8 joint favourites, Djokovic and Federer. I'll keep this quick. 8 of the last 13 winners of this competition did not even reach the quarterfinals in Toronto last week. So if you did well in Canada last week in Toronto, you usually don't do well here. And that rules out Mr. Djokovic, who won in Canada last week, so that is a trend against him. So you're looking at Federer and Murray, who are a bit fresher. I'll give you a very, very quick tip on tonight's games. There's a game taking place about 10 p.m. tonight. Milos Raonic is odds against to beat Thomas Berdych. Berdych is in a complete state at the moment, knocked out the first round of Wimbledon, first round of the Olympics. Raonic up to 19th, his highest ever in the world rankings. He's feeling great at the moment. Raonic 6-5 to beat Berdych, guys.
Oh, it's massive. What about for the US Open 10 days' time? Chrissy, you're on a roll.
I am. I'm feeling it. 11-8, Djokovic, there we go. He leads the way. Federer 5-2. Andy Murray, he'll never have a better chance to make me as happy as Larry. 3-1, third favourite here. He was as big as 11-2 after Wimbledon, but he's in form. He's the form player at the moment. Can Murray do it at last? This is his best chance, guys. Come on, Andy.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm glad you've said that because some firms have actually got Murray shorter price than Federer. You've gone with Federer.
Yeah, they're wrong.
No, I think you're right.
Anyone would think Murray was Scottish, wouldn't they, just listening to that over there? I'll tell you what, that Raonic tip to beat Berdych is absolutely spot on. I think the odds.
So why is he up? Why then?
Because Berdych has got the bigger profile, but his game has fallen apart lately, and Raonic can win this purely with his serves. Berdych, I don't know what's going on in his head at the moment, but there's a big opportunity punting tonight to get on with the underdog there. I agree. I actually think Murray. I wouldn't draw a line through what happened in the Olympics. I thought that was a significant win. And the manner in which he beat Federer, I think, was huge. Whether he goes and takes on Djokovic. He's in the same half of the draw. The defending champion at Flushing Meadow remains to be seen.
And it's not grass and hardcore, chalk and cheese.
Yeah, it is. It's a variation on a theme of two different sports like that. But there was something in the manner in which he won that final that I think was really promising for Andy Murray fans and all the Scots out there listening to the madman. He's sobering up though, isn't he? It's good.
Yeah. OK, we're going to have a little look at the cricket today. It's the third test. England need to win against South Africa. Close of play, 2-6-2 for 7, the Springboks. So England firmly had the better of it today. What's the odds saying, Chrissy?
Yeah, good old England, 6-5 here. Touched odds on at lunchtime, 6-5 here after a great performance today, 9-4 South Africa. And I'm happy that England did well, and I mean that genuinely, because they made a point against Peterson, and it was the correct moral point. The team is more important than an individual. Sorry, I'm getting worked up by Kevin Peterson. 6-5 England. How are you feeling now, Kevin?
And he only cheering on England because obviously Scotland don't play cricket. What about yourself there?
Well, look, England touched 4-1 when they lost the toss. England were in there at 4-1 just before the two teams came out to play. So if you back them at that stage, you're going to be really happy with that. I'd agree with the point about Kevin Peterson. We had to cut South Africa when that total debacle emerged. What I think we've got here is a proper test match. England, they were 10-11 about 2 hours before the end of play. South Africa had a pretty good evening session. They lost Callis, but all 3 results very much possible. Let's just hope that the weather gods don't come into play.
Yeah, well, the weather is meant to be OK to good. So, I mean, that means that it'll only rain 2 of the next 4 days. But we're going to finish on a massive high here. Celebrity Big Brother started last night. Chrissy, take me through this.
OK, here we go. Martin Kemp, who's in Spandau Ballet, is 9-4 favourite. Julian Clary, one of Flash's favourite comedy acts, at 3-1. And Cheryl Ferguson, my tip here at 92. Viewers like empathy. They like to feel for the people in the house. And Cheryl Ferguson at 92 is the shout here. She played Heather in EastEnders, you'll remember. A lovable loser of a character who really caught the public imagination. Killed by wee Ben Mitchell a few months ago, and much missed in EastEnders. I think she's probably like Heather in real life, Cheryl Ferguson, so what I've saw so far. 92 the shout for her. Julie Goodyear, far too short at 12-1. She'll have a massive tantrum and run out the house or something like that. And then we've got this horrible MC Harvey guy from So Solid Crew at 12-1. But for me, Cheryl Ferguson, 92. The viewer's pick, definitely.
Chris, for me, you know far too much about it. Now, is someone going to walk in and go, I'd like £300, £200 on one of them selections? Will you take a step back, or is it all going to be 10s, 20s and 5s?
Someone came into the shop and asked for a bet like that on Celebrity Big Brother. You phone up the shop man and you say, lock the door and keep the punter in for the rest of his life.
So they can get on there?
Yeah, you can have bets like that on a market like this. The point is, always think about the kind of people who influence these markets, the kind of people who are voting. It's women. So it's Martin Kemp. That is why he attracted 65% of all votes, more than half. So if it's purely done on proportion of votes, Martin Kemp should be odds on to win this. And he's currently available at 9-4. It's absolutely comical. I thought it was a bit cruel saying Bet Lynch was a bit short.
Oh, I tell you what, I can't get my head around any of it, to be honest. I'd want to watch a load more shows before I departed with a penny. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Chris Graham. Top man, Dave Williams. Hope to see you again on here soon. Have a great week punting. I'll see you again soon. Take care.